You know this image. You've seen it 100 times in textbooks, documentaries, museum exhibitions. Bearded men standing knee-deep in muddy water, bent over wooden pans, faces weathered by sun and hope. The California Gold Rush, the Australian Gold Rush, the Klondike, romantic tales of adventurers chasing dreams, building America from nothing, taming the wild frontier with bare hands and determination. This is a lie. What if I told you the gold rush of the 19th century was the largest cover-up operation in recorded history? That millions of people weren't searching for natural gold deposits, but systematically looting the ruins of a destroyed advanced civilization? That the wilderness they conquered was actually a graveyard of magnificent cities buried under meters of clay and ash? Turn off the narrator in your head. Stop repeating the story they programmed into you in 4th grade. Look at the photographs again. Really look at them. See that dirt they're digging through? Examine it closely. That's not natural soil. Those are layers of clay mixed with brick fragments, chunks of worked stone, pieces of ceramics, fragments of metal. This isn't geological sediment formed over millions of years. This is pulverized civilization. Now look at the buildings standing behind these _quote_1_ in their camps. Massive stone structures with columns and arches, sophisticated masonry requiring years of skilled labor. According to official history, these wilderness areas had populations of maybe 1,000 people in 1848. By 1850, we're told San Francisco had 25,000 residents. So who built these stone edifices? When? With what materials? Transported how? You're supposed to believe that illiterate prospectors who came seeking gold somehow found time and resources to quarry granite, transport multi-ton blocks without railroads, and construct buildings that required master stonemasons while panning for gold in 2 years. Do you seriously believe that? Here's what your eyes are actually showing you. These cities were already there. The buildings were standing before the first prospector arrived. They were buried, first floors submerged under meters of clay and debris, and millions of people were sent to dig through this material, told they were searching for gold, when they were actually performing the largest cleanup and looting operation in modern history. The gold rush wasn't about discovering natural resources, it was about erasing evidence, about dismantling the remnants of whoever built these impossible structures, about stripping gold from domes and temples, melting down artifacts, and ensuring that no one would ever ask the right questions about what came before. You've been lied to your entire life about what the 19th century really was, and the evidence is overwhelming once you know where to look. Let's examine the photographic evidence systematically. Not with the fairy tale narrator whispering _quote_3_ in your ear, but with logic and observation. First anomaly, the ground composition. Find any gold rush photograph showing excavation work. Look at the exposed layers in hydraulic mining sites, at the walls of ditches, at the material being shovaged through sluices. You'll see something historians desperately want you to ignore. This material is stratified in horizontal bands, clay mixed with brick dust. Layers containing ceramic fragments, strata with metal pieces and worked stone. Natural gold-bearing gravel doesn't look like this. Glacial till doesn't look like this. River sediment doesn't look like this. The most interesting part is just beginning. Write in the comments what city you're from, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe. The tension is rising. Who's watching us from where? Drop a like and subscribe to the channel. There's more to come. Mark yourselves in the comments. Which country are you from? Hit that like button and subscribe. The plot thickens. Let's check our geography. Right where you are right now, smash that thumbs up and subscribe. We're just warming up. Tell us, where are you watching from? Support the video with a like and hit that subscribe button. The climax is near. Share what corner of the world you're in right now. Drop a like and make sure to subscribe. Things are developing rapidly. Write your city in the chat, slam that like and hit subscribe so you don't get lost. All the juiciest stuff is ahead. Let's get acquainted. Who's from where? Hit like and subscribe right now. The intrigue is building. Write where you're watching this episode from and reward us with a like and subscription. Emotions are off the charts. Quickly write what city you're from. drop a fat like and subscribe to the channel. This is the compressed remains of destroyed buildings, the ash and pulverized matter of a civilization that was ground into dust and buried under its own ruins. Second anomaly, pre-existing infrastructure on an impossible scale. Examine panoramic photographs of San Francisco from 1850 to 1851. You'll find them in library archives, often mislabeled or undated to obscure the timeline. What do you see? Multi-story stone buildings with ornate facades, brick structures with arched windows, paved streets, a developed waterfront with massive stone embankments. Official history claims San Francisco grew from 200 people in 1846 to 25,000 by 1850. Where did the bricks come from? The nearest brick manufacturing capable of producing millions of units was where exactly? How were they transported before railroads existed in the region? How many kilns would be needed to fire enough bricks for hundreds of buildings? How many skilled bricklayers would be required? The official story claims these were hastily constructed wooden buildings. Look at the photographs. Those aren't wooden buildings. That's stone and brick masonry requiring industrial-scale material production and skilled labor forces numbering in thousands. Third anomaly, global synchronicity that defies coincidence. California Gold Rush begins 1848, Australian Gold Rush begins 1851, Siberian Gold Rush expands 1840s to 1850s, South American Rushes same period, South African Diamond Fields 1860s to 1870s following identical pattern. Within a single decade, governments across the entire planet simultaneously discover precious resources in previously restricted or unexplored territories. Legal frameworks change in lockstep. Suddenly, these areas are open to mass migration and extraction. Transportation infrastructure appears with suspicious speed. This isn't organic discovery. This is coordinated deployment. Someone identified the locations of buried cities. Someone mapped where the valuable materials were concentrated. Someone orchestrated the legal and logistical framework to send millions of workers to these specific sites. And someone ensured those workers believed they were chasing personal wealth, not performing systematic demolition of evidence. Fourth anomaly, the machinery paradox. Hydraulic mining operations in California by 1853 employed massive water cannons, monitors, capable of washing away entire hillsides. These required pressurized water delivery systems, reinforced nozzles, sophisticated engineering. Where did illiterate prospectors acquire expertise in fluid dynamics and industrial-scale hydraulic engineering? They didn't. This equipment was designed and deployed by people who already possessed advanced technical knowledge. The prospectors were just the manual labor told where to point the cannons. Cannons that systematically erased cultural layers and washed evidence into the Pacific Ocean. Use your eyes, stop believing the captions. The photographs show you the truth. This was organized demolition disguised as resource extraction. Let's do the calculations they never want you to perform. Mathematics doesn't lie. Numbers don't care about official narratives. Calculation 1. The food supply paradox. San Francisco, 1850, 25,000 people. Minimum caloric requirement, 2,000 calories per person per day. That's 50 million calories daily. In preserved foods of the era, hardtack, salted meat, dried beans, that translates to approximately 15 tons of food consumed every single day. For 1 year, 5,475 tons of food. Now calculate transport. No Panama Canal, it won't exist until 1914. Ships must sail around Cape Horn, 18,000 miles, taking 5 to 8 months per voyage. Each ship carries maybe 200 to 400 tons maximum. To supply just 1 year of food requires 14 to 27 ship voyages. That's 2 to 3 ships arriving every month consistently without storms, shipwrecks, or delays. Where are the shipping manifests documenting this massive supply chain? Where are the warehouses to store months of supplies? Where are the thousands of tons of waste and refuse from 25,000 people eating for years? They don't exist, because the food infrastructure was already there, built by whoever constructed those stone buildings. Calculation 2. The water impossibility. 25,000 people require minimum 2 gallons of drinking water per person per day. That's 50,000 gallons daily, or 18.25 million gallons annually. San Francisco's location has limited freshwater sources. You need wells, cisterns, or aqueducts. Digging wells in rocky soil, 2 to 3 months per well, requiring experienced well diggers. A single well produces maybe 500 to 1,000 gallons daily. You'd need 50 to 100 functioning wells to supply the population. Who dug them? When? Show me the records of well digging contracts. Show me the teams of specialized laborers. Show me the timeline where thousands of prospectors somehow also became expert hydroengineers. You can't, because the water systems were already there. Calculation. 3. The gold volume that breaks mathematics. Official records claim California produced approximately 370 tons of gold between 1848 to 1852. That's 370,000 kilograms. A placer miner with a pan, working optimal conditions in virgin territory, might extract 2 to 5 grams per day. Let's be extremely generous. 5 grams daily, 370,000 kilograms equals 370 million grams. At 5 grams per person per day, 74 million person days of labor. Divide by 365 days, 202,740 person years of continuous labor. Even with 40,000 miners working simultaneously, a generous estimate, that's 5 years of every single miner finding gold every single day without exception. No sick days, no days traveling, no days setting up camp, no days where claims were exhausted. Every miner every day finding maximum gold for 5 straight years. This is statistically impossible. So where did 370 tons of gold actually come from? Not from stream beds, from melted artifacts, from stripped domes and temple decorations, from looted architectural elements, from the concentrated wealth of a civilization that used gold not as currency, but as functional material, perhaps for electrical conduction in technologies we no longer understand. The mathematics proves it. The official story is a fabrication. The infrastructure was already there. The gold was already there. The workers weren't discovering. They were dismantling and looting. And someone orchestrated this theft on a continental scale while convincing the looters they were pioneers. The technology doesn't match the narrative. And when you examine what happened after the gold rush, the pattern becomes even more sinister. The hydraulic mining revelation. By 1853, hydraulic mining operations in California were blasting away entire mountainsides using water under extreme pressure. The Malakoff-Diggins operation alone removed 41 million cubic yards of material. That's a canyon 7,000 feet long, 3,000 feet wide, and 600 feet deep. Look at photographs of these sites. The walls are vertical, perfectly sheer cliff faces cut as if by industrial machinery. Geologists claim this is, quote, 9, but natural erosion doesn't create 90-degree angles in flat surfaces. These cuts look manufactured, precision demolition. Now consider the engineering required. Canvas hoses 8 to 12 inches in diameter, some over a mile long, maintaining 400 plus pounds per square inch of pressure. Iron nozzles that could withstand that force without bursting. Reservoir systems holding millions of gallons. The official story, illiterate prospectors designed and built this. The reality, this is industrial-scale equipment requiring metallurgical expertise, advanced mathematics, and engineering knowledge far beyond what frontier adventurers possessed. Who really designed these systems? And why were they so perfectly suited for destroying archaeological evidence, washing away stratified layers of civilization into rivers and oceans where they could never be recovered or studied? The metallurgical impossibility. Independent researchers analyzing Gold Rush-era gold samples have found something official science refuses to address: anomalous alloy compositions. Gold from natural placer deposits is typically 68 to 88% pure, mixed with silver and trace minerals. But significant quantities of Gold Rush gold show evidence of previous smelting and refining, meaning it was already processed metal being remelted. Some samples contain copper-gold alloys in ratios impossible to achieve with primitive smelting techniques available in the 1850s. These are technical alloys requiring controlled atmospheric conditions and precise temperature regulation. This isn't geological gold. This is civilizational gold. Recycled artifacts, melted decorative elements, stripped architectural components. The pattern of destruction, the Great Fires. Here's where the conspiracy becomes undeniable. San Francisco, massive fire 1851, then again in 1906. Chicago, Great Fire 1871, Seattle, Great Fire 1889, Boston, Great Fire 1872, Australian Gold Rush cities, repeated devastating fires through the 1850s to 1860s. The official explanations are absurd. Mrs. O'Leary's cow knocked over a lantern supposedly destroyed 3.3 square miles of Chicago, including stone and brick buildings that don't burn. Look at pre-fire and post-fire photographs. The buildings that burned were predominantly the older, more ornate structures, the ones with architectural features that didn't match the primitive frontier narrative, the ones that looked too sophisticated for their supposed construction dates. After each fire, reconstruction followed a pattern. Simpler designs, fewer ornamental features, architecture that matched the official timeline better. These weren't accidents. These were systematic demolitions. Brick doesn't burn, stone doesn't burn. Yet somehow, quote, 13 repeatedly destroyed stone edifices across dozens of cities, always conveniently after the valuable materials had been extracted, always erasing the most problematic architectural evidence. They looted the gold and artifacts first, then they burned the empty shells, then they rewrote history to claim the simplified reconstruction was the quote, _14 architecture. Evidence destruction on a global scale, disguised as tragic accidents. Now we arrive at the truth they've spent 170 years concealing. There was a global civilization before ours. Call it Tartaria, call it the Old World, call it First Humanity. The name matters less than the evidence of its existence. This civilization possessed technology we're told is impossible. Free atmospheric electricity transmitted wirelessly, architectural techniques that could shape granite blocks with millimeter precision, acoustic technologies embedded in structures we now call, quote, 15 and, quote, 16. Look at these buildings with fresh eyes. The domes aren't decorative, they're functional. Gold and copper covering their surfaces aren't ornamentation. Gold is the most efficient electrical conductor known to science. These structures were designed to capture and distribute atmospheric energy. The massive pipe organs inside, not musical instruments, acoustic resonance devices for healing and frequency manipulation. The bells in towers, tuned to specific frequencies for purposes we've forgotten. Every architectural element had technological purpose. Then came the catastrophe. Sometime in the early 19th century, likely between 1810 to 1820, something happened. A weapon, a natural cataclysm, or a technology that went wrong. The effect was devastation on a scale we can barely comprehend. Stone and metal were pulverized into fine dust. Cities were buried under meters of this material, not gradually over centuries, but rapidly, perhaps in days or weeks. The clay layers you see in Gold Rush photographs aren't geological sediment, they're destructured matter. The ash of a destroyed civilization compressed and hardened. Most of the population died, infrastructure collapsed, knowledge was lost. And then came the cleanup operation disguised as a gold rush. Whoever survived with knowledge or whoever caused the catastrophe needed to accomplish several objectives. First, extract valuable materials from the ruins before survivors could understand what they were seeing. Gold, copper, advanced alloys, technical components. Strip it all, melt it down, remove the evidence. Second, prevent the scattered survivors from reconstructing what had been lost. Destroy the libraries buried in basements. Demolish the most sophisticated structures. Erase the technological evidence. Third, create a false narrative, convince millions of workers that they were, quote, 17 gold, not looting their ancestors' cities, make them complicit in the destruction while believing they were building something new. The demographic mystery reveals the darkest truth. Where did these millions of workers actually come from? Between 1840 to 1860, massive orphanages appeared simultaneously across Europe, North America, and Australia. Thousands upon thousands of children, all with the same story. Parents died in war or parents died of disease. But which war, which disease? The records are vague, contradictory, or missing entirely. These children were raised in institutions, given basic education, then shipped to settlement areas as indentured labor. Perfect workers with no family connections, no ancestral memory, no knowledge of what the world had been before. Adult workers appeared too, millions of them, with suspiciously sparse biographical details. Men and women who seemed to have no childhood, no documented origins, just sudden appearance in census records as fully formed laborers. Was humanity artificially repopulated after the catastrophe? Were survivors' memories wiped or suppressed? Were people manufactured or imported from elsewhere? The demographic records don't make biological sense. The population explosion violates natural reproduction rates, even accounting for immigration. Something happened to humanity in the early 19th century, something that required rebuilding our entire species. And the gold rush was how they kept us busy, digging through our own ruins, destroying our own heritage, while believing we were pioneers building civilization for the first time. We weren't discovering, we were forgetting. The deception didn't end in 1860. It's still running. Every institution you trust was built on the foundation of this lie. The banking system was born from looted gold. Where do you think the gold reserves of the Bank of England came from? Fort Knox? The Federal Reserve Systems established in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Official story, quote, 21 reality, civilizational gold, stripped from temples, melted artifacts, looted architectural elements, the concentrated wealth of an advanced society, stolen and rebranded as underscore quote underscore 22 underscore. This gold became the foundation of central banking, the collateral for debt-based currencies, your mortgage, your car loan, your credit card, all built on a system backed by gold that was stolen from ruins while workers were told they were underscore quote underscore 23 underscore. They took the wealth of an entire previous civilization and used it to create a debt slavery system. You're paying interest on your ancestors' stolen property. Educational reformatting began immediately after the looting. The Prussian education model was implemented across the Western world between 1840 to 1880. The exact same period as the gold rushes. Mandatory schooling, standardized curriculum, age-based grade systems. This wasn't about literacy or progress. It was about formatting human consciousness. Before this system, education was apprenticeship-based, family-based, community-based. Children learned practical skills and critical thinking. After this system, children learned to sit in rows, follow bells, memorize approved narratives, and never question authority. We were taught arithmetic so we could calculate taxes. We were taught reading so we could understand legal contracts and employment orders. We were taught history, their version of history, so we would never ask what came before. History class isn't education, it's programming. And it was deployed globally within decades of the catastrophe to ensure the next generation would never question the narrative. We inherited infrastructure we didn't build. Walk through any major city established before 1900. Look at the granite embankments along waterfronts, the underground sewage systems with vaulted brick ceilings, the massive stone foundations supporting underscore quote underscore 26 underscore buildings. This infrastructure required industrial capacity equal to or exceeding our modern capabilities. Quarrying, transporting, and precision cutting granite blocks weighing 5 to 20 tons each. Creating sewage systems spanning miles underground with perfect grade calculations for water flow. You're told men with horses and hand tools built this in a few decades while simultaneously settling wilderness. The mathematics don't work. The timeline doesn't work. The technology doesn't work. This infrastructure was already there. We moved into the ruins, connected pipes that were already laid, used roads that were already paved, occupied buildings that were already standing, just buried under meters of clay. The quote, 28 of America, Australia, Siberia wasn't settlement. It was reoccupation of territories that had been depopulated and buried by catastrophe. Maps prove the conspiracy. Find maps from the 16th and 17th centuries. You'll see dozens of cities marked in the interiors of North America, Siberia, and Australia. Detailed cartography showing settlements, roads, infrastructure. Now look at maps from 1800 to 1850. The same territories are marked quote, _29, unknown lands, blank spaces, wilderness. They erased the cities from maps, declared the territories quote, _30, then sent workers to dismantle what the maps had shown existed for centuries. This is coordinated historical revisionism operating across all nations simultaneously. No single government could accomplish this. This required transnational coordination at the highest levels. Who has that power? Who benefits from keeping humanity ignorant of its true history? The catastrophe never ended. We're living inside it right now. Your world is post-apocalyptic. That feeling you've always had that something is fundamentally wrong, that we're living in the ruins of something greater. That's not depression or anxiety. That's genetic memory screaming the truth your conscious mind has been trained to ignore. Look around you. We live in buildings we didn't design. We use sewage systems we didn't engineer. We drive on road networks we didn't plan. The granite embankments, the underground tunnels, the massive stone foundations. None of this matches the timeline we're given. We are children wearing our father's oversized jacket pretending it fits. There is no progress. Only regression disguised as advancement. They tell you the internal combustion engine is sophisticated technology. It's a primitive explosive device compared to the atmospheric electricity that once powered cities wirelessly. They tell you rockets represent the pinnacle of transportation. They're controlled explosions, fireworks, compared to whatever technology built structures with 200-ton granite blocks fitted with millimeter precision. Every quote 31 of the past 200 years is rediscovery. Edison didn't invent the light bulb. He found specifications in buried libraries and claimed credit. Tesla didn't invent alternating current. He remembered or reconstructed what had been lost. Bell didn't invent the telephone. He patented recovered technology. We were downgraded from free energy to paid petroleum. From wireless power to copper wires, we rent monthly. From architectural mastery to concrete boxes. And we call this progress. History doesn't move forward, it loops. The 19th century gold rush wasn't the first great reset. It was just the most recent one we have photographic evidence of. The pattern repeats. Catastrophe destroys civilization. Survivors are memory wiped or replaced. False history is written. Humanity rebuilds in ignorance until the next cycle. They know the schedule. Whoever controls this process, ancient bloodline families, non-human intelligence, or survivors from previous cycles, they know when the catastrophes occur. They prepare. Where do you think your tax money really goes? Why are massive underground facilities being built worldwide? Why are seed vaults and genetic repositories being established? Why are the ultra-wealthy buying remote properties in New Zealand and building fortified compounds? They're preparing for the next cycle, using resources extracted from you through taxation and debt, using the gold stolen during the last cleanup operation, the quote, _34 as collateral for the financial systems that keep you enslaved. You are renewable resources, biological mass needed between cataclysms. Your labor maintains the infrastructure they inherited. Your taxes fund their survival preparations. Your ignorance ensures you won't interfere with their plans. The cathedral doors are 5 meters tall, not built for us. The ceilings soar 30 meters high, not designed for us. We worship in buildings constructed for something else or someone else, and we never ask why the proportions feel wrong. Your intuition knows, your genetic memory knows. That's why you feel displaced in your own world. That's why ancient buildings feel more real than modern construction. That's why you instinctively distrust official history. The clay is crumbling. The layers that buried the previous world are eroding. Evidence is emerging. Photographs are being analyzed. Mathematics is being recalculated, and the lies are becoming impossible to maintain. The catastrophe isn't over. We live inside it, and they're preparing for the next wave, using our hands, our lives, our stolen heritage. The gold rush never ended. We're still digging through ruins, still looting our own past, still slaves who think they're free. The question is, now that you